Hello and welcome to Right Sports Talk. My name is Zach. We've made it through yet another week of NFL football. This past week, I went 10-4 with my predictions, giving me an overall record of 94-58. So hopefully after this week, I will be above that 100 correct picks. So let's get into these picks for Week 11. Week 11 kicks off with an NFC East divisional matchup between the Washington Commanders, who are 7-3, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 7-2. I think this will be a very good matchup. It's the two teams that are really competing, really the only two teams competing for the NFC East right now, and they're really neck and neck. The Commanders coming off of a very close loss to the Steelers this week, and the Eagles coming off of a dominant victory over the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these offenses have looked very good. Both of the defenses, I think, have looked better as the season has gone on. But for this game, I am going to go with the Washington Commanders. As I said, both these offenses look good. The Commanders' offense continues to look really good. Jaden Daniels continues to look good. Hopefully for this game, they will have Brian Robinson back. One of their better running backs. They're more powered goal line style back. So hopefully they'll have him back this week. He's missed the past 2 games with a hamstring injury. I think if he's back, that'll really help this offense. And defensively, they have, under Dan Quinn, have gotten better as the season's gone on. I think they will be able to do a very good job against the Philadelphia Eagles here. At the trade deadline, the Commanders traded for Marshawn Lattimore, who I think can match up very well with A.J. Brown. This defense can hopefully slow down Saquon Barkley a little bit. And I just like how the Commanders have looked so far this year. So I do think they get the win against the Eagles on Thursday night. Moving on to the Sunday games. First up, you have the Green Bay Packers, who are 6-3, taking on the Chicago Bears, who are 4-5. The Packers are coming off of a bye week. The Chicago Bears are coming off of a loss to the New England Patriots, in which their offense could not get anything going. Caleb Williams was sacked, I believe, 9 times by a not great Patriot pass rush. In this game, I am going to go with the Packers. I think they are just the overall better team. I think that bye week has given them some time to rest up. Jordan Love will hopefully be more healthy, coming off the groin injury he had a couple weeks ago. Maybe after a week of rest, the run game can really get going with Josh Jacobs. And I think this defense will be able to do a very good job of rushing Caleb Williams and kind of disrupting this Bears passing game. So I do think the Green Bay Packers, looking like the overall better team, do get the win here. Next up, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-8, taking on the Detroit Lions, who are 8-1. The Jaguars coming off of a loss to the Minnesota Vikings, in which Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions, but the Jaguars offense with Mac Jones just couldn't get anything going. Mac Jones actually wound up throwing the game-losing interception, which, as a Patriots fan, that's something I'm used to seeing, is Mac Jones, throwing it to the wide-open defensive back or the wide-open linebacker when there's no receiver in sight. And the Detroit Lions coming off a victory over the Houston Texans, in which they were down 23-7 at halftime. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in that game. And the Detroit Lions, I guess they just wanted a challenge or something, because in the second half of that game, they were able to come back and wind up making 2 clutch kicks at the end to win it. So in this game, I am going to pick the Detroit Lions to get the win. They might be without star tight end Sam Laporta, but their offense has so much firepower with Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Their defense is also very good, and this Jaguars team has just not lived up to the expectations they had set going into the season. They've just not looked good for most of the year, so I do think the Lions get the win here. Next up, you have the Minnesota Vikings, who are 7-2, taking on the Tennessee Titans, who are 2-7. Vikings coming off that win over the Jaguars, where it looked like Sam Darnold was just trying to throw the game away, but ultimately they wound up winning with mainly the help of their defense and their kicking game. And the Titans coming off of a loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Titans, their defense has actually looked pretty good this year. Calvin Ridley has started to look good in the absence of DeAndre Hopkins, since he's been traded to the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Tony Pollard continues to look good. Tajay Spears came back from an injury and got worked more into the offense and also looked pretty good. However, I am going to pick the Minnesota Vikings in this game. I just trust their defense more than I trust Tennessee. Hopefully Sam Darnold can get his interceptions figured out. I also feel like I can trust Sam Darnold at this point more than I can trust Will Levis for Tennessee. So this may be a sloppy game. It might be somewhat similar to how it was between Minnesota and Jacksonville last week, which it might be kind of a low-scoring game. But I do think that the Minnesota Vikings get the win. Next up, you have the Vegas Raiders, who are 2-7, taking on the Miami Dolphins, who are 3-6. The Raiders are coming off of a bye week, but before that bye week, they fired their offensive coordinator because their offense has not looked very good this season. Defensively, they haven't looked the best this season either. The Miami Dolphins are coming off a victory over the Los Angeles Rams, in which their offense looked sluggish. They did score a couple touchdowns, but did not look as explosive as they had last season. Their defense was the main contributor for them in this game. Their defense looked, I think, the best they have all season. And because of how good their defense is looking, I am going to pick the Dolphins in this game. I think that their defense is going to be too much for this struggling Raiders offense. I think their offense could hopefully be able to get on the right track against the struggling Raiders defense. It might be more so because of the struggles of the Raiders, but the Dolphins have started to look good in the past few weeks, so I am going to pick the Dolphins here. Next up, you have the Los Angeles Rams, who are 4-5, taking on the New England Patriots, who are 3-7. The Rams coming off a loss to the Dolphins. The Patriots coming off a win to the Chicago Bears. The Rams, in that Dolphins game, their defense looked very good. Their offense kind of struggled, which is kind of the story of that game with the Dolphins. With the Patriots, their offense, Drake May continues to look better as the season goes on, as he gets more experience as the season goes on. Their defense looks the best they had all season. I don't know if that has more to say about the Bears' offense than it does about the Patriots' defense. As much as I want to pick the Patriots in this game, I am going to go with the Rams. I think that the Rams' offense just has too much firepower with Matthew Stafford, Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and with their defense continuing to look very good. I think the Patriots might be able to make it competitive. I think they can make it close. They could squeak out a victory, but I do think that the Rams get the win here. Next up, you have the Cleveland Browns, who are 2-7, taking on the New Orleans Saints, who are 3-7. The Browns coming off a bye week. For that bye week, they had a loss to the Chargers. The Saints coming off of a victory over the Atlanta Falcons the week after firing their head coach. Kind of got a little boost after getting rid of Dennis Allen. I do think the Saints get the win in this game. The Browns under Jameis Winston. This is going to be his third game starting. He looked very good against the Ravens. Did not look good against the Chargers. He has a history of being a very inconsistent quarterback. The Saints defense looked pretty good against the Falcons offense. I think their defense can continue to look very good against the Browns offense. Their offense with Derek Carr back looks good. Even without Chris Olave, Derek Carr found ways to get Marquez Valdes-Scantling involved in the passing game, getting him 2 touchdowns. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is still working very well in the offense. So I do think that the Saints get the victory. So I do think the Saints get the win here against the Browns. Next up, you have an AFC North battle between the Baltimore Ravens, who are 7-3, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 7-2. The Ravens coming off a very close victory to the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday night, and the Steelers coming off of a very close victory over the Washington Commanders, both of which are actually 1-point victories. Now, this being an AFC North game, it is very much a toss-up as to how it could go. All the AFC North teams play each other very tough. For that reason and the fact that it is taking place in Pittsburgh, I am going to take the Steelers in this game. The Steelers' offense has looked very good under Russell Wilson for 3 games. Their defense continues to look good. This Ravens offense also looks very good, but for some reason, whenever they play the Steelers, Lamar Jackson seems to struggle. Maybe that'll be different now that they have Derrick Henry to kind of take the load off in the running game. But just because of the AFC North and the weirdness that takes place in that division, I am going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the win. Next up, you have the Indianapolis Colts, who are 4-6, taking on the New York Jets, who are 3-7. The Colts are coming off of a loss. Joe Flacco has now lost 2 games in a row as their starter. He's going to continue to be their starter, however, until their head coach says otherwise. The New York Jets are coming off of a loss to the Cardinals in which they only scored 6 points. Their offense really struggled. Their defense really struggled. This might come as a surprise. I am going to pick the Colts to get the win here, mainly because of their running game. Hopefully Jonathan Taylor can get something going against this very poor run defense of the New York Jets. And I don't know what the Jets offense is going to look like. They have been very inconsistent. They thought, bringing in Devontae Adams was going to fix their problems. It hasn't really. Their offensive line still continues to struggle. Aaron Rodgers is still getting beaten up. So I am going to pick the Colts in this game. I think they can play good defense against this poor Jets offensive line, and they can run the ball against this poor Jets run defense. Next up, you have the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-4, taking on the Denver Broncos, who are 5-5. Falcons coming off of that loss to the New Orleans Saints. The Denver Broncos coming off of a very close loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a 2-point loss in which the line, when they attempted what would have been the game-winning field goal, it wound up being blocked. Now I do think that the Broncos will win this game. I am picking the Broncos here. Bo Nix continues to play very well. Cortland Sutton has continued to play very well. Andrick Estime, the rookie running back, got worked into the game against Kansas City and looked very good. And I just think their defense will be able to play well against this Cardinals offense, or against this Falcons offense. This Falcons defense is still a little inconsistent with their pass rush. They have a fairly good secondary. I don't know how they're going to do trying to stop the run. And I just trust that this Broncos defense can keep them in the game. And if it's a close game, I think the Broncos can get the win here. Next up, you have the Seattle Seahawks, who are 4-5, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who are 5-4. The Seahawks are coming off of a bye week. The Niners are coming off of a victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the second time these two teams have met. The 49ers got the win the first time around in Seattle, and I think they get the win here again in San Francisco, so I am going to pick the 49ers. This is their second week back with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. He played well against Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, it wound up being a close game because Jake Moody missed some field goals, but he wound up making the game winner. This defense, last time they played very well against Seattle. I think that will continue. This offense, even without Brandon Ayuk, still looks very good with George Kittle and Brock Purdy playing very well at quarterback. And Juwan Jennings stepping up in the receiving game. I see Deebo Samuels still playing very well. So I do think that the 49ers get the victory here. I believe they look like the better team compared to the Seahawks. Next up, you have a game that I am very much looking forward to. In the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 9-0, taking on the Buffalo Bills, who are 8-2. The Chiefs and the Bills have developed quite a rivalry over the past few seasons with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes as their quarterbacks. The Chiefs coming off of a very close loss to very close victory to the Denver Broncos. The Buffalo Bills coming off of a victory over the Indianapolis Colts. the Chiefs have just continued to find ways to win. They have had very ugly wins this season. They are, a couple lucky calls or, very close plays to being only a 2 or 3 win team. But here they sit at 9-0. The Buffalo Bills have been playing very well this season. I am going to pick the Bills to get the victory here. Although the Chiefs are undefeated, they have not won in dominant fashion. The Bills have beaten teams in dominant fashion this season. The game is taking place in Buffalo. Buffalo has had actually very good success against the Chiefs in the regular season. So I do think the Bills get the win here in what should be a good game and what has historically been good games between the Chiefs and the Bills. Next up on Sunday Night Football, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-6, taking on the LA Chargers, who are 6-3. The Bengals coming off a very close loss to the Baltimore Ravens last week. The Chargers coming off a victory over the Tennessee Titans. This Bengals offense continues to look very good, but their defense just continues to let them down, just giving up far too many points. And with the Chargers, their passing game has looked better over the past few weeks. The run game continues to look good. They got Gus Edwards back from injury, and he played well against the Titans. Obviously, their defense continues to play good. So I am going to pick the Chargers to win this game, and I think it is going to be mainly because the Bills have a very poor defense, especially a very poor run defense. So I think the Chargers should be able to kind of grind out the clock against them. Justin Herbert should be able to make a few key big passes to Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston when he needs to. And I think that this defense can hopefully slow down this Bengals offense, and Jamar Chase probably won't go off for 260 yards and a couple touchdowns again. So I think in kind of a very sluggish, grinded out type of game, the Los Angeles Chargers get the victory. And finally, in Monday Night Football game, you have the Houston Texans, who are 6-4, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who are 3-6. The Texans have lost 2 games in a row. As I stated, they had a 23-7 lead at halftime over the Lions last week. Unfortunately, they intercepted Jared Goff 5 times. Fortunately, the second half they did not score any points, and just their offense did not look good. Their pass protection continues to break down. They weren't really able to get anything going in the run game either. Obviously, their defense was able to play pretty well, getting 5 interceptions, but not well enough to get the win. And the Dallas Cowboys, coming off of a loss where they got dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles, which the Cowboys scored 6 points. Right now, Brandon Aubrey looks like the best player for the Cowboys offense, and he is their kicker. He's getting most of their points. Dak Prescott is going to be out for the season with an injury. He's going to have a surgery. He missed this past week's game against Philadelphia. Cooper Rush got the start, and Cooper Rush is going to be getting the start again this week. Last week against Philadelphia, in 23 pass attempts, Cooper Rush threw for 45 yards. I do think that the Houston Texans get the win here, because the Dallas Cowboys just they haven't not looked good most of the season, and Dak Prescott had kind of been able to carry them to close wins or to their few victories they have gotten. They can't get anything figured out in the run game. Defensively, yes, they have Micah Parsons back. They still have Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland in the secondary. The Houston Texans should hopefully be getting Nico Collins back for this game. And I just can't trust this Cowboys team, especially with Cooper Rush at quarterback, or even if they have to throw in Trey Lance at some point in the game at quarterback. So I just think that the Houston Texans just should be the better team and should get the win here. Let me know who you guys think is going to win in the comments, or what games you're really looking forward to this week. I know I've already talked about one in the Chiefs and the Bills. The other one I'm looking forward to is the AFC North matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers, as those are always close games. Let me know if there's any that you guys are really looking forward to. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, see you.